regardless of when you talked about it, we're going in depth with fractions in 4th grade, which is really new territory. So,
We're done with 3rd grade.
yeah, you did a little bit. You've done a little bit, and you didn't realize it from year to year. But 4th grade is kind of like division. You did division last year when you did your multiplication facts, because if 2 times 3 is 6, then 6 divided by 3 is 2. All right, but in 4th grade, we learn long division, right? So fractions is the same way. We're taking that little bitty concept, and we're about to go a lot deeper with it. We took what we knew about division, and we did long division. So we're going to take what we know about fractions, and we're going to go a lot deeper, and we're going to learn how to do simplest form, which is going to follow you from now until forever with fractions. We're going to learn how to add fractions, subtract fractions. We're going to learn how to turn fractions into decimals. We're going to learn how to change what a mixed number is and how to change it into an improper fraction. So we're going pretty deep. Here's the thing. I didn't understand fractions whenever I was your age. But because I didn't understand it and understanding it now, my hope is that I make it super easy for you while we're learning about fractions. Yes, sir, Ryder? No, that was not 2 that I named off. Yes, sir, Colton?
When I went down to Louisiana for Christmas, I went to my aunt's house down there, and I told her, let's have a competition and let's see who can get done the fastest with. I did our way of multiplication and division, and she did a much different way.
Yeah, there's lots of different ways to do math. All right, so let's look at page 475. We're going to watch our video first. So look at page 475.
Now we're cooking. We're
Page
going to make some fresh
475.
banana bread. Here are 2 of the ingredients we need. 3/4 cup of bananas, 2/3 cup of brown sugar. Which ingredient is the greater fraction of 1 whole cup? I can compare fractions with different denominators using fraction bars. Line up the fraction bars end to end. Compare the fractions. More of the fourths fraction strip is shaded, so that means 3/4 is greater than 2/3. That means you will use more bananas than brown sugar. Fractions are an important part of cooking your favorite foods. Start preparing now.
All of them, it's all here. So push that. No.
All right, sorry, I had to run over and get our papers.
There's more out there.
So where do we see fractions at a lot in real life? Cooking. Where do you see fractions at whenever you're cooking or baking?
Measuring cup.
Measuring cups. Good. Or the measuring spoons, right? Let's go ahead and tear out page 475. Yes, ma'am, Kate?
I was going to say when we cut a cake.
Very true. Also, when you cut something up, right? Like a cake or like pizza. Very good. All right, so tear out this page. Now, you're going to skip the am I ready? Shouldn't be talking in between flipping these pages. And then you're going to tear out your vocab cards. I think there's 2 pages. Now, before we put these up, we do have to add something to these vocab cards. Tear out both pages of vocab cards. Addison, we cleaned out our study folder, so if you want to do that, we can here in just a minute. And just put it in our keep at home. Alright, so I wanted to get that erased. So let's look at vocab cards. Let me get to the blank ones because you're going to add. Let's add some words on here. Let's add multiple. Let's add factor. And let's add product. Multiple, factor, and product. Let's add those three. Now, once you add those three, you can put your chapter 8 page in your Keep It Home. You can put your vocab cards in your study. Let's do that quickly, and then I'm going to have some pages for you to tear out. Alright, so the pages that I want you to tear out are going to be page 485, 487, and 489. And once you tear out those three and you're sure that you have those three, put your green books up and then put your name, number, and date on them. Green books up, name, number, and date. Alright, so let's take a look at these, the lesson for today. So look at this first paper. Look at page 485.
Yes, ma'am.
Alright. Now, we are starting our fractions chapter. But look at lesson 1. What does lesson 1 say? Alright, this is why Miss Moore and Miss Irby are so big on you knowing your multiplication facts. Because with fractions, how are we starting out lesson 1 of fractions? Multiples and? Now, let's go back. Factors and multiples. What is a factor? Ryder?
The answer to a multiplication problem.
That's a product.
No.
What's a factor, Kate?
The numbers in the multiplication problem.
The numbers we're multiplying. So what I want y'all to do is I want you to tell me right here that my factors are the numbers being multiplied. My numbers being, it's okay. I knew it was multiplication, so you were close. It's the numbers being multiplied, right? Now, who remembers, Colton, what's a multiple?
It's like skip counting.
It's like skip counting. Let's put skip counting. Skip counting, let's use products. It's like you're skip counting your products, right? Now, the only way that we have talked about factors so far is what Kate said. It's my numbers being multiplied. Now, stay with me because I don't want this to blow your minds because it's a really simple statement. What are factors? The numbers
Being multiplied.
Okay. If I have two numbers, now don't write this up here, but I want to give you an example. If I have two numbers being multiplied, so in this multiplication sentence, 2 times 4 equals 8. What's my factors?
2 times
2 and
4.
2 and what?
4.
Now. So those are my factors, right?
Yes,
All right, stay with me. There's another way that we can look at our factors. This is kind of like a, I guess you could say multi-meaning word, but not really. It's kind of the same thing. All right. So what are factors again?
Numbers being multiplied.
Everybody's with me. Honk, you with me? They're the numbers being multiplied, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what is the inverse? What's the opposite of multiplication?
Division.
Division, okay. So, if I think of my factors as the numbers being multiplied, I could also think of my factors as numbers that will what into 8? my answer?
Go into it.
They will divide into 8, right? Right? These are factors. That doesn't change. My numbers that are multiplied together doesn't change. But I could ask you, instead of saying pick out the factors, I could say, give me factors of 8. 2 and 4.
8 and 1.
8 and 1. Is there any others? I think that's it. So I could tell you to give me factors of 8, 2 and 4, and 1 and 8, right? What if I asked you to give me factors of 10? 5 and 2.
10 and 1.
10 and 1. And you can flip it, yes, but don't worry. If I already have 5 and 2, don't worry about telling me 2 and 5, right? Okay, what about, now sometimes we'll get something like this. What are factors of 3?
1 and 3.
1 and 3. What? 3 and 1. 1 and 3, right? This one only has 1. This one only has 1, right? But these have more than 1. And actually, we're going to talk about, probably the biggest one we're going to talk about is going to be 100.
10.
And you want to know the easiest way to find your factors? Is to start with 1. 1 times 100. Then go to 2. 2 times.
50.
And then keep going. We won't get into that a lot right now because that's 100. But I wanted you to get the understanding that yes, factors are 2 numbers that are multiplied together. But I could flip-flop it and ask you, okay, what are my factors of 6?
2 and 3.
2 and 3 and
1
times 6, okay? So it's the same definition, it's just asked a different way, right? With me? Okay. So let's look right here. Hawk, read underneath the blue arrow for us. Now while he's reading, you got to follow along, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. All right, so factors, this is our definition for factors. You got to know that. But we also have something called factor pairs. All right, so I have a pair of earrings or a pair of shoes or a pair of gloves or a pair of mittens or a pair of socks. What does the word pair mean?
2.
There's 2. So I want you to tell me that. There has to be 2 to make a pair. So, yes, I could ask you what are my factors, but I could say, give me a factor pair of 18.
18 and 1.
18 and 1. What's another factor pair?
16.
6 and 3. What's another factor pair? 9 and 2. Good. It's just, if I say factor pair, you know you got to give me 2, right? Okay. So far, so good. Now, listen, before we find my remote. So I'm trying to break it up so that it's not as big to upload as it's still. Alright, so moving on into our factors, let's kind of see. Now keep in mind, what chapter are we in?
8.
Chapter 8, which is what?
Fractions.
Fractions. We're starting on fractions. But we're not even talking about fractions today. What 2 things are we talking about? Factors and
multiples.
And let me tell you the secret. If you know what a factor and a multiple is, and if you can find those 2 different things quickly, fractions, they're going to be easy for you. That's why we're taking time today on this. And we're not doing fractions yet. Because we want to make it easy so that whenever we do get to the harder stuff, it's not as
hard.
All right.
Fraction was hard to me last year.
So, oh, it's going to be easy this year. I know it is. All right, so let's look at example 1. Kaylee Joe's going to read this for us. And while she's reading, what should you do? Very good. Follow along with her. Read it in your head.
A chef is arranging 48 strawberries in an area
Array. It's okay.
array on the tray. Find all the factor pairs of 48 to see what kind of arrays can be made. Draw and label one of the arrays.
All right, so we have a shelf. Now put yourself, like what's happening here? That shelf is going to arrange how many strawberries
48.
into an array. Now we haven't seen that word in a while. What is an array?
Like
A big old box of
like
numbers.
Columns and rows. And when I find an array, what can I do to find out how many are in the array? Multiply. So let's do columns times rows. Just to remind us. Remember, an array is like that, 2 times 3. How many dots are there? 6. Because we don't have to count them out. All right, now it wants us to find all the what?
Strawberries.
Factor pairs of 48 to see what kind of arrays can be made. Draw and label one of the arrays. Now, like I said, there's an easy way to do this, and this is the way I want you to do it because it's the easiest. I want you, let's circle this 48. We've got to find my factor pairs of 48. Now, 48 is a pretty big number. So, I want you to start with the number that we start counting with, which is 1. I want you to start with 1. So, let me scooch this up a little bit. Now, when I'm thinking of 1, can I use 1 in my factor pair?
Yes.
1 times what gives me 48?
48.
1 times 48. So look, there's my first factor pair. Circle it. After 1, I'm going to move to the next number, which is 2. Will 2 times anything give me 48? Yes. How do I know that 2 will go into 48? How do I know that 2 will multiply and give me 48, Ryder? 48 is even, and 2 goes into all even numbers. All right? After 2, we're going to move to what number?
3.
All right, so circle that one. 2 times 24, Colton said. Now, if you wasn't sure, 2 times what? What could it be? 2 times what? What should I do? Divide.
Oh, we're going back to this.
If you weren't sure, then you divide. Can I use the 4?
Yes.
2 times 2 gets me 2 times what gets me 8.
4.
So 2 times what gets me 48?
No. Wait, 24.
24. So there's my 2 factor pairs. All right.
Miss Moore, are you done that so long?
Well, you've divided. You just haven't realized.
I remember doing it.
All right, now.
Doing it,
So I found 1 times 48. I found 2 times 24. What number comes after 2?
3.
Will 3 work?
No.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a trick. A trick for 3. To see, will 3 go into 48 without a remainder? Let's see.
No.
Take your 48. Now, this is a trick that only works for 3. Take your 48. What is, I want you to write it above it. What's 4 plus 8?
12.
I added my 4 and my 8, my 48. What's 4 plus 8? 12. Now, will 3 divide evenly into 12? Yes.
4.
That's a trick. If you add the digits of your product,
What?
I added 48. I added 4 plus 8, right? And got 12. This is a trick.
Huh?
If 3 will go into my sum right here, it'll go into 48. It works.
What'd you put? 4 plus 8?
It's not.
Wait, but that'll equal 36.
Mm-mm.
What'd
Let
you
me-
put plus sign
listen.
right there for?
Because that's my trick.
Oh.
Listen, this isn't factoring. This is my trick. Now, you could say, okay, which you'll probably have to. How can I do that? But I want to show you a trick. Look, all right, I've already given you 48. Let's try. You don't have to write this down, but I want you working with me. Let's try 104. Is 104 a multiple of 3? Will it divide evenly? Well, here's my trick. Instead of doing the bracket, here's Miss Moore's trick. Take your product and add the digits together. Hands down, I want y'all listening right now. What's 1 plus 0? What's 1 plus 4?
5.
So I'm saying 1 plus 0 plus 4 is what?
5.
Will 3 times anything give me 5?
No.
So that won't work. That's not a multiple of 3. It wouldn't be a factor. It wouldn't be a part of my multiplication group is what I'm trying to say. All right, now, let's try another one. 3,340. But if you sit there saying that you don't get it, then you're not going to get it.
I get it a little bit, but I don't.
All right, so because y'all are stuck on it being confusing and you're not listening to what I'm saying. Whenever I hear you say that's confusing, it's hard, I don't get it, all of those are fixed mindsets and you've already made up your mind that you're not listening to what I have to show you. So, clear your minds and listen. I'm trying to see if they give you this number. If they say, is 3,345, is it a multiple of 3? Will 3 divide into it? Let's do my trick. Now, normally, this is your only thing that you can do. But to save you time, I have a trick that only works for 3. Add your digits. What's 3 plus 3?
6.
What's 3 plus 3?
6.
What's 6 plus 4?
7.
10.
Oh, 10.
What's 3 plus 3?
6.
What's 6 plus 4?
10.
What's 10 plus 5?
15.
So I added all my digits together. Will 3 times anything give me 15?
5.
So this is a multiple of 3. It works. So what I'm trying to show you is if you go back to this paper, the only thing that you have to do, or the only thing that you know to do to find that other factor pair, you can't multiply it, so you have to what? You can't multiply it, so you have to what? Wake up. I have to divide. But to save you long division, to save you from having to do this, I'm giving you a trick. Don't worry about this for 3. Take your 48. Do your trick. Nobody's going to know this except for us in Miss Goldman's class. Use your trick for 48. Well, 3 times what gives me 48? Well, I don't know. Can I even use 48? What's 4 plus 8?
12.
Will 3 times anything give me 12? Yes. So 3 works. So I need 3. But now 3 and what?
16.
3 times 1 gets me here. 3 times 6 gets me here. So 3 times what?
16.
So you're going to have to divide it to find that other factor. But you need to know if it's worth your time. If 3 doesn't work, then why divide 3 if you don't have to? It'll make more sense in a minute. We'll do another example. But don't close me off with that fixed mindset. Yes, sir, Parker?
On the one that you just done,
Uh-huh.
I multiplied 3 times 45, 3 times 15 in my head, and got 45, and then I figured out what that one was.
Good, because 3 more to 45 would be
16.
very good. 48. Yes, I'm Kayla Jo?
What happens if you get a remainder?
Very good. Bump up for that question. Very good question. Kayla Jo says, what happens if you get a remainder? Do y'all know what happens if you get a remainder?
You have to add the remainder to it.
It's wrong.
It's wrong. Good, Addison. Bump up. You can't use it. If you get a remainder, it's not a factor pair. And you'll see what happens in a minute. All right, so let's look right here. So I tried 1. Did 1 work?
Yes.
Woohoo! Yes, it did. There's my first factor pair. Did 2 work?
Yes.
Let me erase all of this because I've made a mess. There's my first factor pair. 2 worked. There's my second factor pair. We said 3 works. So my next factor pair is 3 times up here. We're not looking over there. 3 times what? 16. Will 4 work? Will 4 times anything give me 48? Yes. 4 times
12.
You should know that. Now, here's what I mean right here. I've tried 1, 2, 3, 4. What's my next number to try? 5. We're asking myself, if I have 48, write this down. Write this down over here for me. Or somewhere. If I have 48, will 5 times anything give me 48? Can I use 5 as a factor pair? Well, how do you know that? You didn't divide it.
Because it only does, because when you do 5, it ends in 5 or 0.
Alright, so right there, that trick that y'all just used, that it ends in a 5 or a 0, right? You know 5 can't work. That's why 5 isn't right here, because will 5 times anything give me 48?
No.
That trick that y'all used with 0 and 5, you didn't have to divide it. That's the same trick that we're using with 3. It's just, we don't want to waste our time. Why divide it by 5? Why do all this? You don't have to write this part. Why do all of this division if you don't have to? Do I have to do that?
No.
We know it's not going to work already. We don't have to try the 5 because we know all multiples of 5 end in 5 or 0. So you don't have to divide it. So I'm giving you another trick that you can use for 3. I'm saying if you'll take a look at this to see if 3 works, if you'll look at that product and add it together, see if it divides by 3, and that's going to be a trick. It's going to make sense. We'll do more of it. But it's a trick, just like your 5s. All right, so let me add this in. 3 and 16, 4 and 12. All right, so I tried 5. 5 didn't work, so guess what? It ain't there. We're leaving it off. What do I try after 5?
6.
6. Does 6 work?
Yes.
6 times
8.
Now, we're not ready to stop yet. What do I try after 6? 7. Now, there's not a trick for 7 that's short enough. These are all of my tricks right here. These divisibility rules. There's not a trick for 7 that's small enough. It only works with super big numbers. But you should know. Will 7 times anything give me 48? Because 7 times 6 is?
42.
7 times 7 is?
49.
7 can't work. So 7 doesn't work. So then I move to what number?
8.
8. But guess what?
8 times 6 times 8 and 8 times 6.
We've already done this.
8's already up there. So you know what that tells me I can do? I can stop. I've got all my factor pairs now. Whenever I start to repeat, that means that I'm done finding my factor pairs. So I tried 7, it didn't work. I got to 8. Well, 8 works, yes, but guess what? Boop, it's already there. So that means that, stay with me,
You can't do it.
I need to stop because I found all my factor pairs. So how many factor pairs are there of 48?
6.
4. 5.
1,
5.
2.
3. 4. 5.
Altogether, there's 5 factor pairs, and we can't leave them off. If it tells you to list all the factor pairs, if we left off 4 and 12, it'd be wrong. The whole thing would be wrong. All right, yes, okay, Joe?
What does this have to do with fractions?
You'll find out later.
Yeah.
That is a very good question. Very good question, but I'm going to tell you a secret. If you get really good at finding your factors and then knowing your multiples and the difference of the two, fractions are going to be super duper easy. I'm kind of holding the fractions out. I don't even want you to worry about fractions because if you guys get really good at this, guess what? You're going to be knocking fractions out the water. But that's a very good question to keep in mind. So whenever we do get into fractions, somebody can say, oh, Miss Moore, now I know what this has to do with fractions, okay? Very good question to keep in mind. Yes, sir, Ryder?
Doesn't that help you with knowing how to, doesn't it make it easier to, color in the spaces that you have to on
Well, it'll make a lot of things easier with fractions. Yes, ma'am, Kate?
You will use fractions in everyday life, so if you don't know how to use it, life is going to be very hard.
Yes, and fractions is one of these things where if you don't get it, you don't get it, and it's tough. So I'm hoping that I can give you guys a pretty good foundation, a pretty good starting with your fractions, that you don't have the trouble with it that I did. I did not understand fractions. All right, so let's look at this. 48 is a multiple of each of the factors above. Put a star by that. If I can find factor pairs, that means I can multiply those numbers and equal to what?
48.
48. So 48 is my multiple because it's like skip counting, right?
Yes, ma'am.
It's like my product, right? So let's list the following arrays. So what was my first one? Everybody.
1 times 48.
And I want you going in that order. Then what?
2 times 24.
Then,
3 times 16.
then,
4 times 12.
y'all better talk. Then,
6 times 8.
you should all be talking because it's on your paper already. So those are my factor pairs. In a factor pair, how many numbers do I need? These are all factor pairs of what number? 48. So what that means is all my factor pairs, I can multiply them and get number 48. All right, y'all good? Let's flip over to the back. Now, we are going to look at questions like this. Now, factor pairs, multiples, products. Do you remember whenever we first started learning about factors and multiples? Even now, they're easy to get mixed up, but they're opposites, right? Factors are what? Yes, I just said that, but what are factors? The numbers that we multiply. But what are multiples? It's like skip counting. We've already multiplied to get our multiples, right? But factors are what's being multiplied. They haven't been multiplied yet, right? All right, so now this is another way that they're going to ask you about factors. They're going to use this word. Underline it. Underline multiple. And what is a multiple? It's like we are skip counting. So whenever I see multiple, I should think of answer. Product. Is 64 a multiple of 4? Is 64 an answer for 4? Is 64 a product for 4? What operation are we talking about, though, with multiple and product? What operation? Everybody. We're multiplying. So what it's asking you is determine whether 64 is, so remember in is, what is that?
Equals.
Put it, because we're forgetting it. Determine whether 64 equals a multiple of 4. Determine if I can multiply 4 and get what number?
64.
64. Now, there is a trick for 4, but it only works with like 3 and 4 digit numbers. The only way that you can decide whenever it comes down to it, if you forget all of your tricks, if it asks you if it's a multiple, what do we need to do?
You need to divide.
I got to divide. I need to see will. All right, so I want you to write this. Y'all are really quiet today. This is asking you, will 4 times anything equal 64? And you're either going to say yes or no. Write that for me. This is what it's asking you. The only way to find what's missing in that equation is like what Hallie Claire said. To what? Divide. I can't multiply because something's missing. I need to divide. So they've got your bracket right here already. Now let's divide. Everybody's going to be talking. Y'all got to wake up. Can I use that 6? Well, yes, it's big enough. 4 times what gets me close to 6 without going over? 1. 4 times 1. Put your 1 on top of the 6. All right, I'll get you something in just a second. You got any water, Sipa? Go put a little bit more in that, but do it quick. 1 times 4 is?
4.
6 minus 4 is?
2. Bring down the 4.
Is 2 less than?
4.
Is it?
Yes.
So I'm good. So I bring down my,
4.
you better put that arrow. They didn't, but you know I want it. So if you bring down, do you remember what that means?
You gotta start all over.
I gotta start all over again with my new multiple. With my new number, 24. Now let's ask ourselves, 4 times what gets me close to 24?
6.
So where does my 6 need to go?
Oh,
Above that 4 on top, right? 6 times 4 is,
24.
and 24 minus 24 is?
0.
Alright, so let's try and answer this. To find out if 64 is a multiple of 4, what did I do?
You added 4.
I divided it. Well, I got 16 remainder 0. But that's not my answer. 16 is not my answer. Is it yes or is it no?
Yes.
Why is it yes?
Because if you don't have a remainder.
I don't have a remainder. And if you don't have a remainder, this goes back into Kaylee Jo's question. If I don't have a remainder, it works. If I do have a remainder, it doesn't work. So yes, so it is. Put a little star by that. It explains it. Now the other way is just straight skip counting, but that's going to take too long. But I want to show you what it means to be a multiple of 4. It means that you can skip count and land right on it, which is what we proved by doing what? Dividing. All right, so let's call out our multiples of 4. Let's skip count. 4, 8, 12,
16, 24, 28.
there you go. 16, 20, 24, 28, 30,
36,
40, 44, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52. Look, count up on your fingers if you need to. 52, 53, 54,
55, 56.
That's my next one. What number am I looking for?
64.
All right, I got to keep going. 56, 57, 50.
59, 60.
All right, still not there yet. 60, 1, 60.
63, 64.
There we go. I landed on it. So is 64 a multiple of 4?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Now, I don't want you to skip count. I want you to divide, but you do need to know that's how we know it's a multiple. I skip count and get to it. But if I have a remainder, guess what?
It doesn't work.
It's not going to be in here, right? Do any of these have remainders?
No.
No. So it won't be in there if it has a remainder. So if it has a remainder, you don't want to use it, right? Okay. Moving on down. Now, we're still going to do more of these, so stay with me. All right, guided practice. Find the factor pairs of each number. So what am I starting with right here?
46.
I got to find the factor pairs of 46. So what are factor pairs?
1 and 46. 1 and 46.
Well, before we answer specifically, what are they? What definition?
Two numbers that multiply.
2 numbers that you multiply together. Now, when I start looking at my factor pairs, what number does Miss Moore want you to start with? 1, because 1's going to work on every number. Yes. So, we're going to start with 1. And my first factor pair is going to be 1 and
46.
Then after I'm through with 1, what's my next number to check?
2.
2.
2 times.
Well, hang on, y'all are jumping ahead. You can't jump ahead. Will 2 work?
Yes.
How do you know that it works?
Because it's 23 times 2.
No, I don't want to hear 23.
Because it's an even number.
It's an even, y'all are jumping to the answer and you're not looking at this, so whenever they get harder, you're not going to know the process. How do I know that 2 can go right here?
It's an even number.
This is even, so I want 2 right there. But if you can't figure this out in your head, what 2 and what can I do?
You can have.
I can divide it with my bracket. So if you don't know what goes right away, let's divide these 2. I know 2 works because 46 is even. Well, let's find the other number. 2 times what gets me to 4?
2.
2 times what gets me to 6?
3.
So what's my other number that's missing?
23.
Because these are easy. You're going to get harder ones. Y'all know this. This is always going to be easy. Yes, ma'am, Kylie Jo?
What if your number is 0?
On top?
Yeah.
it shouldn't give you a 0. But now you do want a 0 right here, hopefully, if it works. But it should never give you a 0 as your other factor. Well, sometimes it is 100. 100 is a very popular multiple in 4th grade to find factor pairs for. And I think there's 6 or 7 factor pairs for it. All right, so now let's practice number 2. 76. Now, look, you can kind of cheat on these. If it only has 2 pairs, like 2 rows, guess what? I'm done. But it's not always going to be that way. So how many factor pairs am I going to have for 76? 3. So I can kind of cheat. Now, what do I want you to start with? With 1. 1 and... Hang on. And then after 1, we're going to try 2. Now, I don't want any answers. I just want to know. Will 2 work?
Yes.
Yes. How do I know 2 works? 76 is even. But how am I going to figure out the other factor? Divide with your
bracket.
I want everybody to divide this with your bracket for me. Divide it with your bracket. That's coming right back. Two times what gets me close to 7?
38.
3 gets me close to 7. I put my 6. 7 minus 6 is
1.
1 less than 2.
Yes.
Bring down your
6.
2 times what gets me to 16.
8.
So 2 and
38.
38. Now, we've tried, give me 1 second, Lily, and then we'll come back to it. We've tried 1, we've tried 2, now what should we try?
3.
Alright, now we need to try 3, but hang on.
You can use your trick.
Use your trick. Don't use the bracket yet. Use your trick. Let's see if I need to even worry about using my bracket. 7 and 6. Out here to the side, 76, I want you to add it. What's 7 plus 6?
13.
This is my trick for 3. That's all that it is. It's a trick. 13, alright? Now, what number am I trying out right here? 3. So keep that in mind. I'm trying 3. Well, will 3 times anything give me 13? No. So guess what? 3 can't go right there. That's your trick. If you don't know the trick, you just have to divide it. Now, I want everybody to divide 3 and 76 just to see. Normally, it'd save you some work, but I want you to see what happens. I want you to divide 3 and 76 with me. 3 times what gets me close to 7? 2 times 3 is?
6.
I get 1. Is 1 less than 3?
Yes.
Bring down my 6. 3 times what gets me close to 16? 5. 5 times 3 is?
15.
Y'all can't jump ahead. Is 1 less than 3?
Yes.
So what do I get as my
25
quotient?
remainder, 1.
That's why 3 doesn't work. That's why I can't pick 3, because it has a remainder. And your trick always works. I promise, it always works. But that's only for 3, okay? So this is what happens when you can't use it. Now, 4. Can I use 4?
Yes.
What's the only way you can know for sure?
Because it's an even number.
Well, it is even, but how did we make absolutely sure?
You can divide.
Let's divide. Just to be safe. 4 into 76. Because some of us need this practice on this division. 4 times what gets me close to 7?
1.
1 times 4 is? 7 minus 4 is? 3. Is that less than 4?
Yes.
Is there anything to bring down? Honk, keep your hands out of your mouth.
Yes.
So then I get 36. 4 times what gets me close to 36? 9 times 4 is?
19.
36. 36 minus 36 is 0. So I get 19 remainder 0. What does that tell me?
It's hard.
4 is a
Multiple of 76.
factor of 76, but I like that you're using those math words. So I'm going to write 4 and
17.
76. Oh, wait, not 76. 19. I looked at 76. So these are all of my factor pairs of what? 76. So I have how many factor pairs of 76? 3. Yes, I'm Lily?
What if the 4 was a 2-digit
Hmm?
number? What if the 4 was a 14?
Well, we won't have them that big. We won't have them that big. Now, here's the other way that you can be asked these questions. Everybody got it? Hop, keep your hands out of your mouth. You're going to get germs all in your mouth. All right, so here's another way they can ask these. Is 66 a multiple of 6? Can you multiply 6 and get 66?
Yes.
6. So what would it be in your head?
11.
11. But I'm not going to put 11 over here. I'm going to put what?
Yes.
And I want you to tell me out to the side. That's just for Miss Moore. All right, look at number 4. Is 86 a multiple of 4? Can I multiply 4 and get 86? Don't you say yes or no. What do you got to do first?
Bracket.
That's right. Do your bracket. If you guess on these, it's going to get you Cooper. Put those knees down and do that bracket. 4 times what gets me close to 8? 2. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 minus 8 is 0. Is 0 less than 4? Bring down your 6. 4 times what gets me close to 6?
0.
Well,
1.
1. 1 times 4
1.
is 4. I get 2. 2 is less than 4. But I'm done. So I get 21 remainder 2. Is 86 a multiple of 4?
No.
No. Because
Remainder 2.
I get a remainder 2. Now, 5. Anytime that you see this 3 right here, you should be really excited because Miss Moore gave you a super awesome trick and you don't have to do a lot of work. You are so welcome. Is 78 a multiple of 3? But do you remember what to do for your trick?
Yes.
You had 7.
All right, I want y'all to show me that. But let me tell you though, I will have people miss these questions with 3 because they won't do their trick. They won't add. That's not very hard to do, is it? Please break that pattern this year and be my first group who remembers this trick. What's 7 plus 8?
15.
Put it down there. Now you ask yourself, take that 15. Will 3 times anything give me 15?
Yes.
So guess what? My answer is yes. And you don't even have to worry about what it is because all it wants to know is yes or no. So we're gonna practice a little bit more than this, but first, I do want you, so this is gonna go in your study, but I want you to look at homework for tonight. I gotta get you. I did not. I want you to look at homework for tonight. I want to say that on homework log, homework sheet, I call it, on your homework sheet, Miss Elkins is still getting her part ready. But, look at homework. You're going to do numbers 1 through 10 tonight. 1 through 10. It's just factors and multiples. It's just factors and multiples. So let's turn over there because some of you aren't looking at homework. Let's look at homework. On homework, you're going to put a note that says what? Only numbers 1 through 10 tonight for homework. Now, I want you to go ahead and put up these 2 papers. And I'm going to put your instructions with what I want you to do next on the board so that we can get some really good practice with this.
So when it's not finished?
No, Put up homework and the one that we did together. Study and then your homework folder. Math, bring back.
I still have McDonald's still
Good, good. Hopefully it will still be helpful. All right, so I do want us to eventually make it to our classwork sheet. But what I want you to do first, to make sure that you've got the hang of factors and factor pairs, is I want you to go to iExcel. So put this classwork to the side. You're going to start with D7, then go to D9, and then go back to D6. So, classwork, hang on, because I'm gonna write it. First thing you're gonna do is you're gonna do 4 iExcel. You're gonna do them in this order. You're gonna do I forgot what I said.
D7.
Thank you, D7.
No, do 7, D9, and then do D6.
I want D7, D9, then go back and do D6. But look, if you've already done D6, now if you haven't done it, get it to an 80. But you've already got, I think most everybody has it to an 80. Get it to a 100. That's multiple. Should be super easy. And then once you get,
I've already got it to 100. Yeah.
good. So you don't have to do D6 again.
I don't have to.
But look, listen. D7, we're getting it to.
80.
D9, we're getting it to.
80.
And I don't think that I started those whenever we were doing multiplication. Good, because I wanted to save them for now. So then after you do that, you're going to complete only page, so you're only going to do the front of page 487.
Hey, I got D6 to 100 too.
See?
And I got D9. No.
And we're going to turn this in.
I got 8. I got D8 to 81. They're still not started.
No, they're not started yet because I didn't want y'all to do them. I'll start them now.
I've gotten D6 to
So this is what we're doing. We're getting D7 and D9 to an 80. We're getting D6. If you haven't gotten it, if you haven't worked on it, get it to an 80. But if you have, go ahead and get it to that 100. Then you're going back to this classwork page. Turn it in, pack up and read. But listen, I'm about to send you all to the restroom. You got to stay quiet while people are working. When you get number 1 done, once you get all 3 of these done, you can go get a piece of candy from the candy bucket. But let me remind you, if you're working on iExcel, what should be out on your desk? iExcel logs, because some of us are not recording those and we need to.